Good day. I'm Phyllis Zembler Miller, and this is a new episode of Israel at War. Today, I have a very special guest from Israel, Nivi Margolin. I heard her speak at the synagogue that I attend, and I heard her on Shabbat, and I was just so inspired by what she said, extemporaneous. She spoke from the heart, that I wanted her to speak to you. So, Nivi, take it away.
Thank you. My name is Nivi Margolin. I'm 23 years old, from Israel, from Central Israel. I grew up in a beautiful scenic area called Kadima. My town is Kadima, and I grew up on strawberry fields, looking outside of my house and seeing a lot of green and a lot of happy people, calm people. I had a very happy childhood, full of activities such as scouts, and I was also studying theater and history and geography, and I really loved my life in Israel. Before I joined the army, like everyone in Israel, I decided to go on a gap year. It's called in Hebrew Shnat Shirut. It's a year of service that you are volunteering in the Jewish community outside of Israel. So I was living in New York City 5 years ago, and I was volunteering in the Jewish community. And for the first time in my life, I realized what it means to be Jewish outside of Israel. Because when you grew up in Israel, you really don't know what it means when people hate you just because you're Jewish. When you live in Israel, you just feel like, you're Israeli and you live in a conflict, and sometimes people don't like you because you are part of this conflict. But when I was in New York for the first time, I really understood what it means, that people just hate you because of who they think you are. And it came to be very extreme in the past month, in the hardest month in my life. But before that, I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I have one older sibling. His name is Dor. He's 27, and two parents, amazing parents, Ron and Tali. I come from a mix, a Jewish mix house. What does it mean? It means that my grandfather from my mom's side is Iraqi. He grew up in Baghdad. He was born in Baghdad in Iraq, and had to flee with his entire family. He had to flee Iraq in the beginning, in the early 40s, because that time in Iraq, the Nazi ideology came to be part of the regime, and all the Jews were facing pogroms. And actually, just in the last few years, they are Holocaust survivors. They are seen as Holocaust survivors by now. And basically, that was on my mom's side, and on my dad's side, all my family is Ashkenazi Jews. They are from Lithuania, Ukraine, Russia, and actually all of their families were died in the Holocaust. The only ones that survived are the ones that escaped when they were 19, 18. My parents, grandparents. So actually, yes, I'm on both sides of my family. They're all Holocaust survivors, but not directly. So one of my grandfather was born in Iraq, but all the others were born in Israel. So I'm very Israeli, but culturally very, very Iraqi, and Ashkenazi. And I always like to think that people are good from the bottom of their hearts. And I always like to think that people that are acting in evil or with hate are just doing it because they don't understand who is in front of them, and they're basically very uneducated and just ignorant, and they do automatic stuff just because they don't know how it affects them.
Let's go to October 6th.
Let's go to October 6th. Why I'm telling you about this? Because it all changed in October 6th, my beliefs, and it was very hard for me. So on October 6th, I flew from Israel to New York. I came to celebrate Simchat Torah, the celebration of the Torah. I'm not a religious Jew, but I like my culture and I like my traditions, and I wanted to celebrate with my American family, my Jewish American family in New York. So we celebrated Simchat Torah night, and then we went to have Shabbat in a calm house in Westchester. And at about 11:30 p.m., I get a phone call from my mom saying, Nivi, there is an alarm, a red alert, rockets are coming. I'm going into the shelter, but everything is okay. Now, and in this moment, I have to tell you that from being an Israeli girl who grew up into the Second Lebanon War and the war in 2014 and many other small operations that happened through that time, missiles and rockets are not something that we are excited from. It's not a new thing for us. It's something that we are very tolerant. We have a high toleration to. And in that time, I told my mom, okay, mom, it's just another flare up. It's just another, like, they just want to show that they're here again, and it'll go away. So I went to sleep, and I went to sleep not knowing that actually what's happening is the worst day of my entire country and nation's life. And I woke up 2 hours later from a friend calling me saying, Nivi, did you see there is war? And I wake up, it's 2 a.m. in the morning, and I don't understand what they're saying to me. And they're saying to me, yeah, there is a war. And I'm like, what war? It's just some missiles. It's nothing new. Like, it's nothing that we are not used to. And then I open the news and I see that in just 2 hours, over 1,000 rockets were shot from Gaza to Israel, and I'm shocked, and I try to understand what is going on, and I call my mom, and she hasn't answered, and I'm trying to understand what is going on. And then the first thing I do is I go on social media. I go to Instagram, and on Instagram I see my friends' faces missing. And in this point, it's very important for me to say that my friends, my very good friends, have produced the Nova Peaceful Music Festival, and it was 4,000 people in that music festival in Re'im Kibbutz. And in that moment, what I think is that what is going on with my friends? Where are my friends? What is going on? By that time, we didn't know yet that terrorists have crossed the borders and took it down and went into this party and started slaughtering and raping and kidnapping my friends and their friends. And it was when I started realizing that that this is happening, I try to do whatever I can. So I start posting on social media whoever I see he's missing. I try to post and try to understand what is going on. After a few days of really not understanding what is going on, more than over 4,000 rockets have sent to Israel by that time. I'm starting to see that there are lists of names of people that attended the party that they're saying that they are in hospitals. So I was like, okay, they're in hospitals. It's okay. No one died. By that time, we didn't know how many people died that day, and still bodies were unidentified. And I told my friends, okay, they're okay, no problem. And after that, I discovered that it was another psychological war that the Hamas did against us, that they took the names that they saw on social media and they posted all these fake lists. So by the end of that week, I figured that all of my 7 friends that were missing have been slaughtered and died in many different and horrible ways that I don't want to say here. And thank God, a lot of my friends also survived this, and I hope that they will be okay by body, but their souls and minds are not in a healthy and safe space at all. So I experienced all of it from being in New York, and I saw that, you know, in the first 2 or 3 days we had, you know, like glory time, that they really talked about what is going on in our lives and really tried to share our story in the world and in the news and in the media. And by the time that we started defending and tried to go into Gaza and take back our people that are kept there for over 40 days by now, I saw the entire media change. I saw the entire narrative change. I saw so many people trying to justify what happened to my people and to my friends. And it made me sick to the stomach. And I feel so, for the first time in my life, I felt in New York anti-Semitism. And as an Israeli, it's something that, like I said, it's not something that you experience very often or even at all. So since then, I started seeing, you know, in New York, people ripping out the posters of kidnapped people, and I tried to understand, and I tried to think why do they think that they can do that, and why they think it's justified, and what narrative is so deep in their hearts that they believe that it's okay to justify murder and kidnapping and raping of innocent people that came to party, or they were in their houses calmly. And until now, I don't have the answer. I don't know why people choose to do that, but the only answer that I have is ignorance, is people that are uneducated about what is going on. Some people don't even know where Israel is. Some people don't know that Hamas is not a government and that it's a terrorist regime that is controlling the people.
I just want to say it's a terrorist regime, and it's that is how the United States classifies Hamas, that it is a terrorist organization. Go ahead.
It's not only the United States, it's also the EU and Japan and many other countries, liberal countries, that understand that, you know, you can't take terrorists and call them government. And, you know, one of the things that I saw on New York Times in the first few days into the war is like, Hamas government. You cannot do that. You cannot make them feel your audience as if Hamas is a government, because what you are doing is bad, not only for the Israelis, but also for the Palestinians who are suffering from them so much. And this ignorance of not understanding that being pro-Palestine is not being pro-Hamas, because if you are pro-Hamas, you are against the Palestinian people. The Palestinian people cannot say anything right now because they are inside the hands of Hamas and they will kill them. And this is why when I say people should be educated and not ignorant, and not seeing just a post online and saying and sharing it and feeling like, yeah, that's the truth. I mean, no, it's not the truth. And you need to know that the world is not black and white. And on both sides, we have problems that we need to solve. But what is black and white is that Hamas is a terrorist regime that is hurting everybody, and Israel is trying to get rid of it for the sake of the Israelis and also for the sake of the Palestinian people. And it's something that in the narrative in the world is almost does not exist. And it's a lot because of the media. It's a lot because of the news that are taking one side and not and trying to show Israel as if we are deadly and murderous killers that just want Palestinian blood. They don't understand that we're not even inside Gaza until the October 7th. We were not even thinking of going inside. We had no reason. And this is why I'm saying a lot that we need to educate ourselves and try to understand what is going on from a perspective of someone who lived there. Yeah.
I want to just say for our audience that what Nivi is talking about specifically is that in 2005, Israel pulled out totally from Gaza and gave it to the Palestinian people. My husband and I actually were there the weekend. We were in Sderot, the one that was badly attacked. That weekend, we watched the Israeli soldiers come south to remove the Israeli settlers. So what she's saying is the Palestinian people have been under, there were elections within a year or so, Hamas control since then. So while they, quote, govern Gaza, they are not a government. And I just want to add something.
But it's very important to know that they were elected democratically.
Yes, exactly the fact that Hitler was elected democratically. Many people don't realize that, and then took over. And I want to say something that may sound so minor, but it's been bothering me. I get lots of news feeds, but the two that I read from American papers are The Seven, it's from the Washington Post, and the New York Times. On November 14th, the Washington Post, and it's The Seven, it means headlines, reported that the Gaza numbers of dead, and said reported by the Gaza Ministry of Health, without saying, and by the way, I've written back to them, without saying controlled by Hamas. The next day, the New York Times in its headline talked about the number and said, reported by the Gaza Ministry of Health, controlled by controlled by Hamas. And that's one of the things that we have to get across when Niamh talks about education. We have to understand that Hamas is controlling the narrative. Go ahead, Niamh. I just had to say that because it's been driving me crazy that the Washington Post.
And the thing is that it's not only controlling the narrative, it's creating the narrative. And I'm seeing so many facts that are shown online in so many places, and people are quoting them, and it's completely lies. It's so many things. Like, people don't know that, in 1917 already we had the confirmation that we will have a country in Israel from the British people, and that in 1947 we had the same thing, and we had this agreement that Israel will be in the land of the Jewish people with another state for the Palestinian people, and they said no. And every time they say no, because their regime that is controlling them is telling them the narrative that from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. And what does that mean? That means that there will be no Israel. So that means that it's okay to kill so many people who live in Israel, 9 million people that are Jews, that are Muslim, that are Christian, that are Buddhists, that are so many people, just because it fills this narrative of anti-Israel, anti-Jews, and anti-America. And this thing, all the world has to understand that this narrative is more than just lies. It's changing history, and they're trying to change history with facts of pictures on Instagram. Please, the world has to educate and try to understand that this is more complex. This is very, very this is very complicated because we are dealing with light and darkness. We have people on both sides, by the way. On both sides, we have people that are full of hate and want to hurt people and want to control people. And on both sides, we have people who want love, who want peace, who want this to end, who wanted this to never happen, and are now just trying to understand how we can work from now on, when we have 240 hostages still held in Hamas's hand, in terrorist regime hand, in the tunnels underground in Gaza. And we are now in this impossible situation where we have to defend our right to defend ourselves. And this is something that is always happening whenever Israel is starting to defend itself. And let me tell you that, what would you do if 1,500 people from your own family have been slaughtered and raped and kidnapped and so many more things that are just that I can't even understand and say even. I cannot even say that. And how would you want, and still held hostage, how would you want us to react? What would you want us to do if not to take out the root of evil that is hurting not only us, but also the people there? They are killing the Palestinian people. Whoever is with Israel, whoever is trying to escape, they are killing them. And if you are really pro-Palestinians, and if you are really want to help them, you would let Israel take off Hamas, because Hamas is the source of evil inside the Gaza Strip. And not only inside the Gaza Strip, also in America and also in Europe.
Yes. A previous episode on Israel at War, I talked with Jerome Marcus about why unconditional surrender is really what is necessary. And I want to talk a little bit now about education. As Nivi said, it's very, very complex. And I don't know how on social media we're going to get certain things across. But we who support Israel, whether Jews or non-Jews, must learn how to answer statements that people make. We have to be educated enough not to just react in anger, but to literally try and educate people. I mean, I grew up in a town with very few Jews. I was usually the only Jewish kid in my class. And, I had to explain things calmly. We need to be prepared to do that. But I want to just now, before Nivi talks about this, because this is one of her things, I just want to share something that really shocked me without going into the whole long news story. A synagogue in LA rents space to a charter school. I won't go into the whole controversy, except that the head of the charter school emailed the rabbi of the synagogue complaining about the Israeli flags that the synagogue had put up since October 7th. And how long were they going to be up? Now, I am quoting the news sources. Okay, but I want to quote what I read the rabbi's response was, which I think is so important. He said, no one after 9/11, when seeing American flags put up anywhere, would have emailed and said, how long are you going to keep those flags up for? And to me, while this is a very small example, it shows what we are up against. So Nivi, tell me how you think people can get themselves educated quickly, because we need to be answering this now.
So first of all, there are a lot of organizations that are helping to educate. Actually, I'm part of one of them. I think Stand With Us is the best address to go to. They have so many resources and so many videos and articles that can really educate you about what is going on. And this is just one. I mean, you can go to so many organizations that are doing it right now, like the Jewish Federations, and I'm sure that also a lot of Israeli organizations that are doing it right now. And I just think that it's more than just opening YouTube or just reading something online. It should be, you know, reading books and trying to understand and try to talk to people. And I think that this platform is amazing to do that, because anyone who wants can reach also me and ask me questions. And you know, and there are so many people, and if you know Israelis, also try to talk to the people who live there, try to understand from their perspective what is going on. And I think that's the best way to do that.
I seem to remember seeing in the news that two Israeli students at NYU sat on a bench with a sign that said, "I'm Israeli, ask me questions," which I thought was brilliant. And what I wanted to say is about Stand With Us, particularly, they can help students on campus. So today I just published in my blog post a true account of a student. Santa Monica College is a community college in Los Angeles. And this student, who I did not name, faced a lot of anti-Semitism at a required meeting for the student leaders of student clubs. And she got Stand With Us to write a letter. It's really a powerful letter. The university had actually recorded, not video, but audio of what happened at the meeting. So there was absolute proof of the terrible things that Palestinian students and others said about Jews. And then Stand With Us sent a very strong article explaining the legal ramifications. So I published a letter also on my blog post. But what I want to say here is the important point is that this student knew. I mean, she tried it first by herself. She and her advisor went to meet with the president of the university, of the college, and got nowhere. You don't have to go alone. There are legal entities who will help you pro bono. And so once she got Stand With Us, it's been changing the narrative. So I urge college students to understand that there is help for them, and they need to get it and speak up. Nivi, what else do you want to say before we finish? And
yeah. So, by the way, speaking of a college student, I actually part of my work right now is to go to universities and talk to students, actually Jews and non-Jews. And I already spoke at UCSB, at Santa Barbara University, and I hear horrible stuff. I hear that Jews have been called Nazis. I heard that they are rethinking their entire friend group, because a lot of people that they thought their friends are just supporting Hamas without understanding what is Hamas. And I've been also in UVM at University of Vermont, and actually there I heard horrible things, that there is a movement there, something social Nordic, something that they are something horrible. I will send you the picture that I have. Some group that are just trying to get rid of the head of Hillel in the UVM. They're accusing him that he is in charge of everything that is going on in Gaza, and that he's in charge of kids being killed in Gaza. And this is just one example of horrible anti-Semitism, anti-Jews, that they don't even understand what it means to be Jewish. What is the difference between being a Jew and being Israeli? That is two completely different things, because you can be Israeli without being Jewish. And that's another thing that is very, very important to understand. So what I'm saying, please, students in universities, if you see this, or parents or grandparents to students in universities, if you see this, and you know that your daughter or son, they're scared, okay? They're scared, they are full of fear, they don't know how to react to the situation. Also, they need to educate themselves, but beyond that, they need to know how to defend themselves. They need to know how to protect themselves. And universities in America are no longer a safe place for Jewish people. And this voice should be out loud and said. We need to take care of our Jewish friends and our Jewish brothers and sisters and sons and daughters, because they are not safe. And I'm hearing that directly from the kids in the universities. I'm seeing kids that need to study classes that called medicine in Palestine. What is that? How does that, why? And Jewish students, they go there because they cannot fail the classes, or they're not speaking up because they're scared that their pro-Palestinian professors will take off their grades, or they're ripping down their Magen David and Hamza necklaces, or they're taking off their mezuzahs because they are scared that people will know they're Jews, and so on. And this is something that we have to say now. It's only day 40 to the war, and there is completely no reason to connect the Jews outside of Israel like that, in saying that they are in charge of everything that is going on. No, this is just anti-Semitism, and we need to stop it as fast as we can. Thank you.
As we come to an end of this really important episode, I just want to say that I've actually started it's a volunteer project called Miriam Book Project. And it came across because in talking to the president of a Jewish fraternity at a major hotbed university, meaning hotbed of anti-Semitism, he said that he didn't know enough. So I am going to include on the description of this particular episode the link to the idea in which I encourage Jews and non-Jews. A lot of us older people have huge real book libraries. I'm making a little bit of a joke. We need to send them to college campuses, to community centers. Really, sometimes books walk into your hands. Noah Tishby's book on Israel is a very important one I don't get any money for this, very important one for explaining Israel. And if we have books sitting around, we need to send them to centers. I mean, this college kid asked me, he said, I don't know enough.
I also think that beyond books, we need to watch lectures, and we need to invite people, because there is no impact equivalent to someone Israeli speaking from the bottom of his heart and trying to educate and explain to people that we don't want war, that we don't want to kill people, that we don't really have hate inside us, that when we have to kill a terrorist, we are mourning it, and we don't hate him, because we understand that a lot of them are miserable people that have this education of hate and kill and murderous education from birth. Yes. And we understand that it is something that we cannot stop, but it is something that we can try to eradicate day by day, by educating people and by telling them that, first of all, it's not on all the Palestinians. Obviously, a lot of people there are just part of this horrible situation where they cannot say anything, even if they live outside of Gaza, because their families are inside. Yes. And they will kill them. And this is the thing, like, we need to talk to people. I think the world should sit down, take away the social media, take away the news, and just talk, because we have a crisis that started because the British Empire didn't know how to really make us work together, and that's the thing. And we need to find a way to talk and connect and share our suffering, and find a way to make some kind of a resolution to it, and have peace. And just blaming Israel for everything is just anti-Semitism. It's just anti-Jews, and it's just hate. And we need to stop with this hate, because this hate is leading to more and more wars. And if you really want all life to have to be, and no one that will die, then we need your help to be with us and to stand with all of us. And it's not only with Israel, and it's not only with Jewish people. We need you to stand with peace. We need you to stand with love and light, and not have hate in your heart, and trying to understand what is going on from an educated mindset, and not from a dark and narrow kind of understanding.
Yes, Okay,
you.
I want to know, and if people are interested in hearing you or other Israelis speak, can they, I don't want to give out your email, but can they go to Stand With Us, which is
Yes,
standwithus.com, and request an Israeli speaker? They can even request you.
they can
And
request me. They can ask for Nivi Margolin, and I will come to wherever in America and outside America. Whoever wants to hear me speak, I would love to speak to you. I would love to encourage you and to tell you that you should not be with fear, and you should be with a lot of love and light in your heart, and strengthen your community and your unity, your Jewish unity in your community, and also your unity with your non-Jewish friends, and really just be together and find a way to heal from this situation, and find a way to help us get the hostages back home, and try to echo this message to the entire world.
amen.
Amen.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Toda rabba.
And as we say, bring them home.
Bring them home now.